Hi, welcome to this general live reading for Friday. Welcome. If you're watching this later, it is best to sort of fast forward on to the 5-minute mark because that is when the reading will be starting. Just going to make sure the webcam is positioned. Welcome. This is going to be a general collective live reading for today. Hopefully your Scorpio moon last night, your full flower super moon last night wasn't too intense. Welcome if you are just joining us. We're just going to wait a couple more minutes to see who comes in and we'll be getting started. I'm going to be using the Legacy of the Divine Tarot deck by Ciro Marchetti. And let me just click on chat so I can get an idea of, oh, hello. You guys are showing up now. Hi, Jale. Phone will die, but you're on the big screen. Oh, wow. Thanks, Jamie. Luke, happy birthday. It's Luke's birthday today. Stacey, hi. Stacey, I didn't get a chance to catch up with you last night. I'll be honest with you, I passed out. I was so tired. I was going to reply to you and be like, hi, it all went great. And I just passed out, so I apologise. I hope you had an amazing day. I hope you're continuing to have an amazing day. Oh, bless. Yeah, I hope you're having an amazing birthday. Not the best of birthdays on lockdown, having had one earlier in the month. Kieran, hi, welcome. Just going to wait for a few more people, see who comes in. Bless you. Yeah, how was everyone's Scorpio full moon? How did you find it? How was it for everyone? I feel like this is going to come up in the reading. I already feel like it's already still going to come up in the reading. I don't know why I'm looking over here when I've got a phone here. Not enough sleep. Do you know, it's weird. That's exactly how I've been feeling. I had like really interrupted sleep over the last couple of days. Went fine. Oh no. Why is this one lagging here? Oh, Jamie, what a nightmare. Luke was saying this earlier. It's weird, isn't it? Why do you know what? I feel like it's going to come up in the reading, but see, Scorpio moon is not an obvious moon sign. It's a very subtle, very private energy. And it's all about the hidden and all about that kind of depth. So give it some time. And I feel like what's happening here is there's an undercurrent that hasn't kind of presented. Hi, Joanna, welcome. You've been really warm while sleeping. Yeah, to be honest with you, that's exactly, mind you, it's been hot here today anyway. I've been sunbathing, of course. Yeah. I can't decide which screen to look at. Yeah, it feels like everything's kind of been dredged up to kind of be released. So if you're having lots of kind of weird technical issues and stuff, then Scorpio is usually about the sort of hidden depths and things being brought up to the surface. So it kind of doesn't surprise me. Oh, here we go. We've got internet issues already. Please no. Please no. Please no. And if you didn't join us last time for the live reading, we had some interesting messages through. I've turned my hair straighteners off now, so I don't blow them up. And the carpet is intact. An incense was thrown last reading onto the carpet. And do you know what? When the new webcam comes, I'm going to position different angles so you can see everything. They did not want me, because they were at one point actually restricting my throat so I couldn't actually talk. What? It's going to snow there? That is insane. That is insane. It's summer, right? Is it? Am I going mad here? It's summer. But yeah, so they were actually restricting my throat, so I couldn't even speak. And obviously I continued to speak anyway and got the message out, which was, now I'm going to be honest with you, I feel like I need to do a follow-up for that, but I'm dreading it because I already know what's going to come out. Oh, Luke, they're everywhere. The orbs are everywhere. It's spring here. Oh yeah, it's not summer yet, is it? I keep thinking it's summer because it's so hot here already. It's so hot. Yeah, I keep forgetting that it's actually still spring, isn't it? Wow, that's insane. We've had some amazing weather here. I was sunbathing pretty much when I could actually get into the garden. There's like a queue to use the garden at the moment. So, by the way, guys, if you can hear noise, my next door neighbours are actually having a party next door. If you can hear it upstairs, it's my brother playing his ukulele, stroke, singing, stroke, playing computer. So we've got it at stereo surround sound today. So that's great. Right, let's get started. Let's see what's going to come up. Yeah, it really shouldn't be snowing in May. I agree. If it was April, then I would sort of be a little bit more. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Don't get me started on this subject. Don't get me started on this subject. All right, let's see what's going to come up. Oh, here we go. Got Page of Swords flying out already. Right, let's see. What are you trying to show me here, Spirit? Right, let's see what the guys want to bring through here. Let's see. The World. Do you know, I've just got the James Bond theme. Is it The World Is Not Enough? Is that an actual James Bond film? Oh, here we go. I already know. This is going to be, I think we're going to have to get the starseed deck out in a bit. It's only a matter of time. There's a mass, I mean, this is, okay. We've got the Temperance card here. This is healing. This is, as you can see here with the light shining down, this is someone who's physically shifting in order to recalibrate. But with the World, this is on a mass scale. Knight of Wands, there's about to be some very quick succession of changes on a mass scale. It's almost like what I was saying about the Scorpio moon. It's like the undercurrent is there. There's a bubbling going on underneath the surface. It's not quite shown itself in the dimension that we're in and the reality we're in. But there's an undercurrent here that's being presented, but it hasn't quite manifested yet. They're just saying it's on a mass scale. They're just saying it's on a mass scale. I'm just hearing quantum leap. Didn't we have this before? Do you know what's really weird? I already feel like we're just waiting for the world to catch up with what our... They're saying half of us are still in darkness. Half of us are not understanding and recognizing the signs of what is, which is why there's... Oh, here we go. Which is why there's more shifts. Hi, Kate. Welcome. Yeah, Monica is a general reading. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Pentacles. Oh, I knew this was going to come up. Luke, it's what we were talking about the weekend. I can't go into this now. This is insane. The world is changing hands. And what I mean by that is... I don't want to go in. This is going to open a can of worms. Like, I already know what I'm saying. I've been putting off making these videos for like 3 days because I already know this is going to open it with anything I do in this area, or just generally, is going to open a can that I know they want me to. They want me to go into it. They're dying for me to be the Wally that lets the cat out the bag, so that I'm the idiot guinea pig. This is basically what I'm like, the guinea pig that's been put out there. The world's been bought. Okay, now I'm going to give you a heads up. If you are not into conspiracy theories, if you are very closed-minded in terms of what all these kind of energies are, this is not going to be for you. I'm just going to give you a heads up. You're not going to relate. You're going to sit and be like, this girl insane. I feel you. Sometimes I feel like I am too, but I could assure you it's very real, because literally for 3 days this has been following me. Okay, where do we begin? Let's do a history lesson. So everything you know about the world is false. Okay, it's a narrative that just throw everyone into the deep end. It's a narrative that has been sold to us based on keeping us stupid. Okay, so the Second World War, England didn't win. We didn't win the Second World War. It was bought. We were sold off. The whole thing. The Nazis were bought. Adolf Hitler has been bought to do the job that he did. The monarchy was bought, and at the moment, it's basically COVID-19 is false. It's a fictional disease. It is total bullshit. This was put out there to get rid of certain world leaders so that the real agenda can take place, which is essentially removing all of the dead weight societal people, which obviously cannot contribute to society. So, for example, Kim Jong-un's video, if you watch that, they basically manufactured a virus, the elite we're talking about here, in order to remove certain people that were blocking what their agenda was, and Kim Jong-un was one of those people. Now the agenda here is that there is someone that is posing as Kim Jong-un who isn't Kim Jong-un, who is essentially, because they're all my guys are just sat there staring at me going, keep going, keep going. Kim Jong-un has basically been placed in there in order to do a job. Now that job is to take down China, and then after that we're going to go to the Middle East. Britain hasn't quite got involved yet with these things, but the agenda here was to take and recalibrate the financial system, because obviously China had taken over as a superpower, and there was a certain body of people that did not want that to go ahead. Now with Kim Jong-un, obviously they're trying to start a war. You're going to see a little bit more of this around the middle of the month, where this is going to flare up again. They're not going to get their way, just FYI. This is not going to work. It's already been ruled out. The timeline of when this could have actually evolved into a full-blown war is done. It's not going to happen. It's a physical impossibility already, because the timeline's already been essentially decided. Now, the secondary element to that is what's currently going on in the UK politics side, which is Boris was the fall guy. The lockdown, there's more to come. There's about 15 other different sort of agendas with this, but the lockdown for the UK side of things was to start with the Middle East, so that when Boris gets the hit, he takes the fall for obviously everything that has happened during COVID-19. Keir Starmer, who is establishment, will step into play, and he will be manufacturing a false flag, which is surrounding the royal family, which is obviously as per the reading that I mentioned in the last reading that we did, which is where everything you think you know about the royal family is going to be removed, and there's going to be a brand new royal family, but it's going to look like an accident. It isn't. And then the agenda is going to be going to the Middle East, because then again they want to take over Syria and Iran, and they'll be doing it through Turkey. So as you can see in the narrative of the mainstream media, where the PPE from Turkey that was gifted that now suddenly isn't suitable, again, it's an agenda. They're setting a stage here. They're setting a stage. So this is all lies, because they think we're stupid. They think every single person that, again, the people that are listening to the news, who are sat there lapping it all up, that fear is the 100th easiest thing to lower vibration. And if you're lowering vibration, you can keep people in a state of I'm trying to get it all out, Luke, because they're just kind of pestering me. So the situation with obviously here is, yeah, this is all a setup. It's not that the news is to lower vibration, it's to increase fear, so that people are, it's a psyop. It's what's known as a psyop. It's a psychological operation. For those people who have not been doing any sort of TV shows that involved mind control, aka Big Brother, you're probably not going to be aware of it. But for the people that have done Big Brother, it's a classic trick that they use. to try and get people to be malleable, to be sheep, to be some, people that don't have a viewpoint or don't have a point of view, because that's essentially, it benefits them. So you're probably asking with the COVID-19 thing, so how does that develop? How does COVID-19 work? Well, it's done via, like I was mentioning right at the beginning in the first couple of lives, it's done via genetics. It was there to target a group of people. The rest of the people that you're seeing passing away are actually going in other ways. So, for example, they've got underlying health conditions. And the reason I know that is because I actually did look, I do healing. So I read energy and I scanned someone who had symptoms of COVID-19, and it wasn't, whenever I'm doing healing and I'm looking at traditional kind of the energetics of that, it will show in a certain way. Okay, this didn't. That showed as an implanted idea, which isn't an energetic or a physical symptom. It was an implanted idea, which is why I'm obviously started looking into this, and then obviously Spirit came through and gave me the information. But this is in order to distract and to take over a certain body of people that were, like, for example, the Kim Jong-un situation. That was to start an imbalance in that area. That was to start trouble in that area. That was to take over the contracts that North Korea had with China. But if you look, there's been histories of what is called the red wave throughout the whole of time. In the Second World War, in the First World War, this is essentially about socialism and capitalism. It's a fight against the two. They do not want people to become empowered. They do not want people to be aware of these pieces of information. They want us to remain placid, so that we are controllable, because obviously we outnumber the people that are involved here. So for everyone to become awakened, they don't want that. They don't want that. They're trying to control, and fear lowers your vibration. So that's a very easy way of controlling people. It's also very easy to gain illness when you've got a very low vibration. That's why obviously they say the highest vibration is love, because then you're reaching a certain calibration or of energy that you're able to sort of distinguish between things. The next agenda is going to be a dismiss. They're going to oh, here we go. The next agenda they don't want me to say. Good job I've got my moon water here, isn't it? So I charged my moon water up last night. Yeah, they do not want me to go into this part. I'm just checking that there's no fires that have been started in my room, because obviously last time my incense literally was on the floor burning into my carpet. So obviously at this point in time, China is no longer an issue for them, because they've got someone that is on the inside in North Korea that is essentially doing their job. Again, it will flare up. It will look like, this is why when you saw South Korea talking about how they didn't think Kim Jong-un had an operation, it's because they know, South Korea already knows. But it's to take over and cause instability and imbalance in that area and actually clean up financially. So because obviously China it took over as the financial superpower of the world, didn't it? So this is their chess move, essentially, to try and maintain control. Now, the Middle East is a different story. That's where the UK comes in. The UK are going to be, you're going to end up hearing Boris is going to be hauled off. There's absolutely no way Boris is going to stay in power for much longer, because he's done his job, which was to lie, basically. Keir Starmer is the next that will be coming through, and he will be implementing the Iran strategy, which is to sell an idea of Iran. Now, they're the only two countries, Syria and Iran, who have yet to have a nationalized banking system, which is, again, another reason why they're doing it, in order to gain control. But there's also another reason, which leads me on to the thing that they don't want me talking about, which I'm going to talk about, is there's actually a Stargate in Iran. There's actually a Stargate in Iran. And you are going to be seeing a lot more of extraterrestrial information coming out over the news, but you're going to be hearing it, and then you're going to have lots of famous people dismissing the idea, because, again, it's what's called it's essentially controlled opposition. For example, classic example, David Icke. David Icke is a classic controlled opposition who would have very, very long time ago would have spoken truth. He's sold out. Now he's controlled opposition. He is leading you into another agenda or another narrative away from the actual truth. So when this information comes out about extraterrestrial life, they're going to want to lead you in a different direction. So you dismiss it, because don't forget, they want you to doubt everything. Because when you're doubting things, you're not listening to your intuition. And then because you're not listening to your intuition, you're not empowered. And because you're not empowered, you are not liberated and freed. We have been in a slave system on this planet for generations. Okay, this is why when people talk about the ethnic minorities that have been put into these positions, this is not just ethnic minorities, this is everyone. We are in a, people that work from 9 to 5s on the planet are in a slave system. Even everyone, we're all in a slave system. This is at this point in time now where the planet is ascending. So we are being liberated, but there's a tipping point here whereby the information they're going to keep. This is why everything's speeding up, because they can't hide it anymore. Everything's in plain sight. So yeah, the extraterrestrial agenda is going to be essentially Israel. That's essentially what's going to happen. You're going to end up seeing very clearly, extraterrestrials. That's going to happen. But the narrative of the mainstream is going to be, you're imagining it, and you're going mad, and don't listen to the mad people. So this is why, obviously, part of the reason why I do my YouTube, because I'm trying to prepare people for people to actually listen to their own gut instincts and to listen to the truth of their own higher selves, so that you are ready, because the narrative has gone on long enough. And in the next couple of years, this whole system is going down. The whole system is coming down. That's why it already has. It's just they're holding on to the last breath. COVID-19 was a last-ditch attempt to try and maintain control, because what you got to understand is there's only a few sort of places on Earth that have yet to be taken over control-wise by these 1% of people, the elites, the establishment, whatever you want to call it. And they already know that they're losing, they're fighting a losing battle. So they're kind of doing everything in their power now to remove people, situations, things that are not going to adhere to that. The people, I'll give you an example. Alex Jones is another shill. He sold out a long time ago. David Icke, don't listen to. He's also another. He's sold out. He's sold out. He's not. What they'll do is it's called control opposition. They'll give you maybe, I don't know, 55% truth, 45% lie, because then it's hard to distinguish. Because it's enough information for people that are a little bit awakened to kind of understand, but not the full facts, because then they want to keep you in the dark. It's a classic trick. And again, MK Ultra, mind control, if you look into CIA operations, and good, I really hope you do. This has been developed since the Second World War, and even earlier on, where there's been systems to develop or to keep people moldable and malleable and controllable for a long time. But where people have been waking up, obviously it's harder for the whole kind of, for the narrative to be kind of maintained. It's a lot harder. So again, because of the fact that there's a lot more at stake, there's, countries are being sold now. It's like this, England, like the royal family is not going to, it's that the countries we've been bought. United Kingdom has been sold. That's why you're going to see a change in the royal family soon. And it's the same as World War II. So the whole narrative of World War II is lies. It was, look, this is going to be controversial, but Hitler was paid off to do a certain job, to unfortunately get rid of a certain group of people, to maintain a control of another narrative, which, mate, this goes, there's a lot more information like that's sort of behind this. But the point here is that the mainstream media are not your friends. They are not going to tell you the truth. They are not going to give you your insight, the best way to do that is to utilize your meditation, to utilize your connection to self, and to find your own truth. Now, you might sit here listening to this going, this girl is insane. That's your opinion. That's your decision. You know, you choose. This is the whole beauty of this world, is you get to choose what you invest in and what you don't. But over the next coming months, especially over the next year, so beginning part of next year, this is going to become, it's about an increase of challenging people's perspectives and beliefs. They aren't fear mongers, because that's, again, it's designed to control people. They call TV programs for a reason. They program you. It's designed to program you so that you can, you know, keep very malleable. And it's like, again, when I've sort of given an example of people in the schooling system, they teach you to be dressed a certain way, to have no identity, to not speak out, not argue back, and then they say it's for manners. It's not. It's to mold you so that you're part of the sheep. It's the status quo. They don't want people to break free of that. They don't want that. So anyone that has a challenging belief is immediately ruled out into a troublemaker, because that it suits them. Because again, if you look at the Egyptian times, if you look at, you know, anything to do, if you trace back through history, there's always been a kind of socialism agenda of, and like even the like there's a Billy Idol song called, I can't remember the name of it now. I think it's called "Start the Fire." I can't remember the name of it. But there's a Billy Idol song, and it's got a list of names in that first part of that song that talks about, well, actually, it's just a list of names. And if you look at every single name, they either are a socialist or they are anti-socialism. So this includes JFK. This is, if you look into the JFK thing and the Marilyn Monroe thing, this is all one and the same thing. Billy Joel. Did I say Billy Idol? Yeah, Billy Joel. Luke, you could link the song as well if you want. This is about, especially because we're now moving into the North Node in Gemini, you're going to see this agenda play out even more. Thanks, Apples Girl. Yeah, Billy Joel. You're going to see this agenda play out even more because you've got a very dualistic energy playing out here, where you're going to get extreme truths, and then on the counter side you're going to have the counter polar opposite to make you then confused even more and question yourself even more. I would recommend don't even listen to me. I would recommend you listen to yourselves, because over the next coming weeks, months, year, this information that you can nurture within yourself is going to be even more important, because they do not want people to become ascending in a certain manner, or to sort of be on their soul mission. They don't want, when I say they, I'm talking about people who are designed karmically to be here to polarize those who are on a soul mission to ascend the planet. Those who have come here to do soul mission to allow the planet to ascend, thanks Luke, there is obviously a polar opposite to everything on this planet, and the polar opposite are the elite. There is a spiritual war on, and for those who are, you know, not very aware, or maybe if you just started your journey on a spiritual realm, this is playing out in the ethers. Maybe you're having dreams that are a bit strange, or, you know, maybe you've been getting signs of it, but this is now falling into the physical realm. It's like the ethers, the kind of the fighting, or the imbalance that's been playing out in the ethers is now kind of filtering down into the physical realm. As with everything that is always manifested up in the ethers, it always does have, at some point, it does become apparent. Same with the Scorpio moon last night. You know, everyone was sort of anticipating this weird energy, and then it kind of just, it didn't do anything, because it hasn't materialized yet. This is the same energy. It doesn't just materialize. Like, it's not like a Leo, like ta-da. There's an undercurrent here, and this is the thing with COVID-19. They don't want, they want, and you might sit there and go, well, how does someone control that kind of narrative? Because the world is not governed by who we think it's governed by. It's the prime ministers, the presidents, they are not in control. Sorry if you don't already know that, but they're not in control. So if they're trying to take out a leader, Kim Jong-un, and also they've taken out a load of Iranian political people as well, which now is going to allow the next stage, which is the Middle East, to become a little bit easier. And obviously the royal family side of things is just a monetary thing. It's just, again, money, greed. But the Middle East is a separate agenda because they want to take Iran and Syria, because they're the only two countries now in the world that have not been taken over. And you'll hear now about North Korea having banking systems being put into place as well. You'll start hearing about a rehaul, a reshuffle around that area. And also in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing about information with China and America that's going to start stepping up, and everyone will be like, oh my goodness, does that mean something's going to happen? There's going to be a war? No, because it's already been discounted. But you're going to hear about it because it's starting to, the veil is thinning. So you're starting to see these bits of information. And of course, the mainstream media are going to try and control it in a way that makes it look like it's nothing, and like, oh look, it's distraction techniques. So just it's important to understand the wider implications of things, but not to invest in it so much where you're just sat waiting for more information, because that's not you living your life then. But it's important. The reason I'm going off about this is because it is going to affect everyone on an individual level. This is what COVID-19 has been about. It's to cause a great amount of fear, because they are trying to reduce the population. They are trying to reduce by fear and control by fear. So the next stage can come in, especially in the UK. You're going to be, as I say, because Boris is not going to be in power for much longer. I feel like around the summertime, that's going to be kind of ruled out. There's going to be an incident in the United Kingdom that is going to push for the Middle East. So just watch for that. Let's see what else they wanted me to bring forward. This has been, as I say, something that I wanted to go into a video about for a while, but I'm not going to lie, I was putting it off because I was just like, I don't want to get involved in this. I guess they had other ideas. They're talking here about influencers. You're going to get a lot of people, celebrities, that are going to be like standing for a certain idea, and you'll be like, where's that come from? Again, use discernment. And even with me, with the information I'm giving, don't sit and lap it up and be like, yeah, I'm going to ignore social media and mainstream media. I'm just going to listen to Jale now. No, I'm not asking you to do that either. I'm asking you to listen to yourselves, because that's where you can get the truth. Because this is the thing, I'm a human being at the end of the day, and as much as I can sit here about how accurate I am, it's always very important for you to use discernment in all things. Believe nothing, question everything. That's what spirit want you to know and understand and cultivate. They're talking here about Stalin as well. Excuse the laughing. They're having a party next door, but I'm just seeing Stalin, Joseph Stalin here. There's something about Stalin's speech that he made after the Second World War that's relevant. Let me just see if I can find what they're talking about here. Now, usually when I film these videos, I get this information through and I pause the video and then I do a bit of research. But because I'm channeling from this point on, you'll have to excuse me. There's something about Stalin here. Oh, here we go. One sec. He's talking about independence and an independent mindset or an independent thought process behind. Oh, just FYI, anyone that comes through to me, I'm not going to sit and be like, oh my goodness, mainstream media have told me you're evil. No, we do our protection here. If someone comes through to me, we honor that as anyone would, and we listen to what they say. And if it's, because this is the thing, my defense system, my protection is very good. So I wouldn't be getting this person through if they were some kind of sinister, you know what I mean, low vibrational energy. There's something around a speech that Stalin made that was to create independence within people, that the idea was lost. And I'm going to be really honest with you, that energy at the moment there's a frustration around that, because there's something about that speech that was lost. It was molded into a propaganda that was lost. The original idea was lost, and there's a real frustration around that. Now, I don't know where I can get this with the lyrics rather than just looking at a video, but this is going to be all YouTube stuff, isn't it? Hang on, let me just see if I can get the actual wording. Wow. He's being referred to here as the wolf. What is with these wolf kind of imagery? It says, we will destroy Russia so that she will never be able to rise again. But there's something about, comrades, the great patriotic war has ended in our complete victory. The period of war in Europe is over. The period of peaceful development has begun. There's something about a speech. Let me see if I can get this information, because it's like there's a book that was written. I don't know if this is called why do I feel like this is called the Red Book? Red Book. That's weird. There's a book called The Red Book by Carl Jung. Wow. Okay, I think I might actually have to read this book. Weirdly, this was written just before the First World War. It says, from December 1913 onwards, he carried on in the same procedure, deliberately evoking a fancy in a walking state and then entering it in a drama. These fancies may be understood as a type of dramatized thinking in pictorial form. In retrospect, he recalled that his scientific question was to see what took place when he switched off consciousness. The examples of dreams indicated the existence of background activity, and he wanted to give this a possible of emerging, just as one does when taking... It's like he was playing with altered states to try and bring through. I think I'm getting just totally distracted now. What are you saying about? Yeah, I would have a look into the Red Book by Carl Jung, and there's something about the speech by Stalin, because there's going to be a couple of gems in that energy. They're talking about displacement. All of the people that I feel that were invested in as a low vibrational energy was very much the opposite. Oh, the wolf. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of imagery around Stalin and this. Wait, it says it's called Peter and the Wolf, the rehabilitation of Stalin. What? There's a lot of wolf references. Why do I? Oh my goodness. Again, it's like there's a lot of energy here of, now I'm not going to sit here and be like, because people are going to sit and go, oh my goodness, are you excusing what Hitler did? Yeah, oh yeah, I'm excusing death of millions of people. Yeah, of course, no, of course I'm not, because that would be inhumane, wouldn't it? But we have to stop listening to a narrative that isn't factually accurate. Now, is it incredibly difficult for me to say this? Yes, because my grandfather fought in Second World War. So the idea that he was like a freaking guinea pig for this whole thing does not sit right with me. But that's part of the reason why I'm saying this, because he's passed on and he doesn't like this either. Imagine having to do that and then passing over and realizing that you were like part of a game of chess, you know. There's something about Peter and the Wolf here that is, there's a lot going on. Let me see if I can channel this without reading and doing research. There's going to be over, I want to say June, July, August. I don't know if they're dropping some books here or that if it's like there's some text that's going to be released. But it's going to be done very subtly. It's like over the next couple of months, you're going to get a release of a lot of information, but it's not going to be done in a very public way. It's going to be done in a really subtle way. That is, they don't want you to read it, essentially. So it's going to be like, oh, hey, look, this is actually the JFK's assassination. Like, here's the truth. But hey, look, COVID-19 just took the Queen's life, or, you know, COVID-19 just took this. It's going to be very much like that. So, but there's some manuscripts. In fact, I'm seeing it looks like redacted documents, but I feel like this is it's all the Marilyn Monroe stuff that's coming out. I feel it's all the Marilyn Monroe stuff. Now, don't forget, VE Day is the 75th anniversary of VE Day is literally today, I think. They've painted a lot of different characters in a very, I'll be really honest with you. I wouldn't even mind tapping into Kim Jong-un's energy and seeing how realistic his character was portrayed, if I'm totally honest with you, because the guys are just saying it was portrayed very falsely. So all of the things, the character kind of assassinations that you're seeing by the mainstream press, especially over the next coming months, look into those, because especially I'm getting Iran here as well. It's like they're going to release documents and then the focus will be on somewhere else, because this is the thing, that whole area, and that will then lead on to the whole, here we go, the whole Israel thing is going to then lead on to that, unfortunately. The reason it's not going to get very far is there's a body of people that people don't know about that have already maintained some control, because you've got to remember, again, we're in a three-dimensional dualistic reality. So while this agenda has been carrying out with this whole COVID-19 thing, there is a separate faction of people that have been carrying out a separate agenda to counter, which is why the original agenda of culling loads of people and reducing population and killing like half of the world leaders that they want to get rid of, it will only be able to get to a certain stage, because the narrative is already, they can't develop a war, because there's a separate faction of people that are blocked that you're not going to find out about until at least next year. I don't even know where to begin with the narrative of next year either. I mean, essentially, when you're seeing the reports of extraterrestrial kind of entities coming in, and then people are going to sit there and go, oh, it was holographic, it was, you know, because obviously Project Bluebeam, if you've looked into that, that's going to be the key, the buzzword. Oh, it's fake news, false news. Okay, great. That in itself wasn't originally developed as false news, but that's going to be utilized as an agenda, because they don't want you to understand what the real kind of energy that's coming through, which is that there is extraterrestrials that are going to be, listen, we already are extraterrestrials. This is It's like you're asking if there's already extraterrestrials here. It's just going to become a little bit more mainstream, is all. But they don't want you to understand that. But there's been extraterrestrials here since time began. You know, it's just something that people don't want to acknowledge. Marilyn Monroe was assassinated as she was going to expose UFOs she wanted to use as leverage for JFK's attention. Yeah, I mean, she jumped. She actually jumped. She was the one that took her own life, but she jumped before she was pushed, unfortunately. This is a very brave lady as well, actually, because she where do I start with Marilyn Monroe? She was she just walked into something that a bit like me. She just walked into something, and then before she knew it, she had to deal with it. And it was one of those things, you either pretend it's not there, and then you're essentially then not being true to yourself, or you talk about it. Now, whistleblowers have got an incredibly bad rep because obviously it just looks like you're a grass, you know. But in the grand scheme of things, like I'll give you an example. When the sort of whistleblowers of the UFOs were becoming very mainstream, there was a guy called Max Spears who I could already hear my guys going, "Don't do it, Jale, don't do it, I'm going to do it." Max Spears, who was very mainstream whistleblower, and he died and disappeared. Lies. And again, if you followed Max Spears, one of my very, very close friends actually was very good friends with Max Spears, even though I warned him. That was a big lie as well. It's like, again, the truth community, the spiritual community, you've got to be very careful what you're buying into within any group of people. Like, for example, this QAnon thing, which again is this agenda of, you know, like the truth, the elite, and exposing these underground caves and paedophilia. That again started in a very genuine, pure light, but again, that also has now been unfortunately turned. There are people within QAnon as well that have turned the whole operation. It's been thwarted. It's not. Now, if you don't know what QAnon is, it's like you'll see all these very kind of cryptic tweets and coding that looks like they're unearthing the truth. It's to keep the spiritual community engaged, because they don't want the spiritual community or the truthers or anyone with an intuitive bone in their body to understand the real reality of anything, because again, they don't want people empowered. That would detract from their agenda of people being kept in this mind control heaven, you know. And so they have to formulate this kind of programming so that people have something to buy into. Some people have something to kind of get themselves into, because at the moment, the spiritual community have this thing where they go, whenever you're developing spiritually, they go, what book can I read for that then? And then obviously people sit and list out all these books that you can sit and read. And that's where you go wrong, because it's like, why go there when you can go directly to source? Why are you going through Chinese whispers of 5 different people's book channelings when you can just go directly to source? And so what happens is that the information gets very diluted, and then people capitalize on that, because then you get people like QAnon who look, I mean, don't get me wrong, they did actually start as a very genuinely authentic kind of energy, but it's not real now. Like, you'll even see people like, and I'm sorry, Magenta Pixie, but even people like Magenta Pixie, who are very well respected in the spiritual community, who have now bought into that as well, to get more people on board. And this is about money. I'm going to be real. If you, for example, in a couple of months, if you see me, and this is never going to happen because they've already tried it with me, if you see me in a couple of months suddenly talking very differently, and I look like I'm not the same person, it just means, yeah, that they've got to me. That's not going to happen, by the way. They've already tried it. They've already tried it. Didn't work. Sorry about that. So this is why your David Icke's, the whole YouTube removing David Icke from the internet was, think about it. the free speech idea is very limited on social media at the moment, and that's another thing. Free speech is very much compromised. The only reason I can get away with saying this is because there's 10 people watching me. If this was a video, it would be a totally different sort of kettle of fish, which is probably another reason why I didn't make it, because I just thought I'll just wing it, you know. This is the thing. Can you hear them all giggling outside? This is the thing. You are going to get a lot more of these bodies of people, especially like David Icke. The reason that was taken down off YouTube is it's controlled opposition. They know that people are going to question, like, oh, why is David Icke suddenly able to really freely speak about the agenda of things and not being taken down? I mean, like the 5G stuff was started by David Icke, and then it took everyone on a wild goose chase. And then I ended up doing a video about it, and I was like, there's nothing to see here. It's a total distraction. David Icke was to present the 5G idea. That was where David Icke's controlled opposition was. And this is the thing. Years ago, David Icke was ridiculed for his ideas, and he was offered money. It's the same with Bernie Sanders. It's the same with why Bernie Sanders isn't running either. He sold out. He was bought because they're trying to get rid of, again, Jeremy Corbyn. Although the jury's out with Jeremy Corbyn as to why he didn't go further, but Bernie Sanders did pull out because he jumped before he was pushed. But they do not want socialist ideals, because it means that their capitalist sort of agendas are dying, isn't it? And that means that people are empowering. So just really discern. Anyone in the truth community, anyone in the spiritual community, this is why I always advise people to utilize their own ability and to fact check everything. Even if I'm sitting here telling you something, even in a personal reading, if I'm telling you something and it doesn't resonate with you, don't just sit and blindly swallow it. Listen to your own inner instinct. This is what I am here to help people with, is to listen to their own instincts. I'm not here to brainwash people or mind control people, because I'd be as bad as them, you know. So that was your reading for today. Bottom of the deck, Ace of Pentacles. Right, let's see what else they want to say here, because I think that was all I wanted to say for the moment. Yeah, there's people are going to start becoming very wise to this. Page of Coins with the Four of Cups. People are going to start understanding what this all is about. I mean, they already are, but the QAnon sort of movement was brought out because they already know people are sort of starting to wake up. So what better way of delivering something that is controlled by them? This is why Alex Jones was written off as well, because, you know, he went as far as he could. David Icke, you're going to see disappear now. He's already done his job. He was here to deliver the 5G distraction, and now he can go. I'm sure QAnon have got something up in the pipeline. I'm sure they're going to be the ones that come through for this alien distraction, because, again, don't forget, these groups come in when there's some real information coming through to distract you. So just use discernment. And again, even with what I'm saying, just take it, you know, listen to your gut instinct. That you don't have to fear change as well. They're trying to drum up something that is collectively brewing in everyone, which is a change, because obviously we are about to undergo, and we are currently undergoing a large change as a collective. They're trying to capitalize on that, because between now and the next few years, like I said, this structure of control is not going to exist. It won't be able to exist anymore, because people have come. You've got to remember, it's there's an awakening. When they refer to the Great Awakening, that's essentially what it is. It's, you know, lockdown is to again, the best way to control any human being is to lock them down and tell them that there's an extreme illness. If they go outside, they're going to die. What do you do? What do you do in that case? What does your mind tell you? Psychologically, how would that, your subconscious, how is that going to affect you? You're going to have a fear, aren't you? You're going to sit and think. Externally, there's a fear. So you're kind of repressing. You're being repressed, aren't you? Your world is being removed. It's being reduced down. And when people's worlds are being reduced down, they don't tend to look too far out because it's a comfort zone thing. So if people are trying to look out into the world to discover the truth, and then they're being told that COVID-19 is a killer disease, it's going to kill everyone if they go outside, and then so everyone goes into lockdown, there's going to be a fear there. People are not going to want to look outside of themselves, and they're not going to want to look inside themselves. They're going to want to go into panic mode and try and, work through things, but be distracted by lots of other false information. This is all designed to stop people from developing the whole thing, which is why I started doing the lives on lockdown, because I was just like, hell no, like I can't sit and watch this, because coming from someone who went into a psychological experiment on TV, and I'm going to be honest with you, they tried to break me. Like, I was locked in a room for hours with someone that absolutely despised me. I had to sleep in a room with 16 people, locked in a room with 16 people. I was around people that were having panic attacks all the time. It does a lot to you. But also what it does when you're coming out of that is you understand a lot more. You understand a lot more of how things work. This is mind control. This is what is classified as this whole thing. It's a psyop, what's known as a psyop, which is why when I actually finally did, and if you remember, I did put out the call and said, oh, look, I'll do some healing on people. If you've got COVID-19, you let me know and I'll do a healing on you. And I looked and I was like, this is psychological. It's manifested as a physical illness, but it's not. It's a very straightforward physical illness. It's called flu. You know what I mean? But the idea has manifested as a fear that's attached, that's again causing an energetic kind of imbalance, because someone's invested in an idea that they're not going to come out of this. Fear lowers your immune system as well. So it's another thing. If I wasn't a healer, if I couldn't read energy in that way, then obviously this would have been harder to work out. But right, let's see what the guys want to say to wrap this up. Let's see what the guys want to say here. Let's see. Yeah, we've got the Nine of Swords. This is fear. This is the idea. Nine of Swords is not an actual thing. It's usually the idea of something. It's the fear. It's the idea rather than the literal reality of something. They're relying on that. And yes, the mainstream media is bought and paid for, which is why they don't usually report the truth. Same with TV. If you're still watching TV, I would swerve that like the plague, because again, it's a narrative that they're trying to utilize control over. And we've got the Four of Coins. So this is about releasing. Release the fear. Nine of Swords, Four of Coins in the reverse. They're saying release the fear. The only thing that you've got to fear is fear itself. That's it. Because this is the thing, that the agenda that, look, I'll be real honest with you. A couple of years ago, if there was a real chance that this could have actually developed into something more, where there would have been a literal kind of physical battle that you'd have seen here, but it's done. You've got to remember, we are a reflection of everything. So when there's something physically being fought here, that's also going on in the ethers. There's been a spiritual war that's been fought out. For those who are very much in the light worker community, the ones that have been on this journey for a while, who have been psychically attacked for years in their sleep, the ones that have been bombarded and they've had near-death experiences and they've been threatened and they've been blocked and bound and chained and all these other things, you guys are going to be the ones that know this. This was all carried out away. Like, this was all carried out away from what people are viewing here. This is just the play out of the aftermath of that. So what we're seeing playing out now is just the physical reality of that tailing off. But this is why I'm telling you the timeline that was on has already been closed up, because it's already been played out. And the reason I know that is because for 4 years I was psychically attacked. 4 years of near-death experience, a psychic attack, and absolute hell on earth. But then that's, you know, I can't moan because that's what I came here to do. So, but for the people that understand what I'm talking about, that's what this was about. It was to maintain balance, that was to then obviously be brought back onto this earth to then shift the vibration, so that, because obviously, you know, when you're talking about Atlantis and when you're talking about heaven on earth, this is what essentially the energy is kind of forming into here, where the black and white polarity, the dark and the light, the good and the bad, that's being kind of merged. So again, we're ascending, we're just ascending. It's the consciousness is expanding, and people are taking their responsibility for things, and the stuff that have been, you know, played out throughout history, like the wars, it's done. Like there's no more a need for that, because people are being held to account. Yeah, look. So this is the 6 of coins, balance. We are undergoing a balance. Okay, so at the moment, again, you might see on a microcosmic level that you're, you know, there's a bit of a wobble here and there. You're maybe having a bit of bad luck. You're maybe seeing that, you know, things are not going as great as what you're expecting them to do. Yes, because there's a spiritual war going on, light versus dark, and the powers that be that were maintaining the control are losing, and so that is essentially their energy trying to fight that, which is a you know, it's done. They can't, because you can only hold on to control and that low vibration for so long before the energy levels are expanded enough where there is no longer an ability to hold or utilize that kind of form of control, because the vibration's higher than that. You know, we are ascending as a planet. So, but yeah, 6 of coins, this is about balance. As you can see, there's a green glove that's handing out coins here. There's a total recalibration happening. As you can see in the background, there's the cogs. This is about recalibration. Bottom of the deck, 6 of cups, nostalgia, returning to old, celebration. 6 is also Virgo energy, which is about healing. So what Spirit is saying is that, yes, I've given you a lot of scary bits of information there, but as this like plays out in the coming months and years, don't buy so much into what is being sold to you, because it's a form of control. They want you to buy into that fear. They want you to. And now this is the thing, you'll probably watch this and go, this is disgusting, you know, people are dying, what happens if I get ill? You come to me. If anyone watches this video and you've got COVID-19, you can come to me, no problems. I won't even charge you for a donation, because I'm telling you, this is false information that you've been given. And again, maybe you shouldn't be watching this if this is what you're assuming is going to happen to you, because that's you buying into something. You've already talked yourself into a manifestation of that energy, haven't you? I'm talking about something far beyond all that, which is observing from a 360-degree angle and looking at this and going, this is total lies. And the lockdown, because you've got to remember, the lockdown is, if you're trying to take over different countries, right, you can't do that in a country like North Korea when the whole country is already in lockdown because they're a private country. So when you're trying to bump off like Iranian presidents and political figures and, like, you know, trying to infiltrate these different areas, the only way to do it is to have a collaborative effort. Now, don't forget that virus did start in China, because it was the genetic signature that was created that was to deliberately target a certain person, Kim Jong-un, for that person to get ill. The only reason everything everywhere else went is because the mainstream media started this kind of lie, essentially, and the governments are not. They're not doing it because it's like there's a real risk. They're puppets. The government leaders of all these countries that are adhering to this are the ones that are also in the know, because they're probably getting paid to do it as well. They're probably getting paid to be, you know, locking down these civilians and these different people. So hence why when I heard the phone call between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, a large part of that would have been instigated by America, because America was the one that was the most going to lose because of the money that was surrounding this. If North Korea continued to move forward with China, it was a real threat to the finances, the world, everything, money. This is all about money. Right, let's see. Let's go to Sacred Destiny. Let's see what messages we've got here. Luke, did I miss anything? Probably missed loads off what I wanted to say, but it's easier doing it like this than just sit and make a video, to be quite honest with you. Right, let's see. Did I miss anything, Luke? Got it. Okay. I mean, it was done in a real on crack type of way, but look, to be honest with you, I really have struggled with the idea of delivering those types of messages for, I'll be honest with you, about 8 months, where I knew when I started this channel, I knew they were going to throw something in my path. And so now I just try and go with the flow with it. Oh, look, potential adventures. Potential adventures. We've got air and earth here. We've got air and earth. Why does this remind me of Mount Fuji? Why does that remind me of Mount Fuji? Maybe it is Mount Fuji. Potential adventures. Let's clarify that. What is potential adventures, please? Wow. Voyage. There's that full moon. So we've got earth, air, water. We've got blessings here. Again, this is Spirit saying, do not buy into, again, we all know 2020 started insanely. And what I don't want you to do is sit and buy into the sort of news narrative coming up over the next couple of months. And you've got to remember, I'll give you a classic example, actually. So when this first broke, there was someone that I knew called David Abel, who is a trained actor, okay? And he went on a cruise ship. Suddenly he randomly changed his job, and I've known him, okay? So he randomly changed his job and suddenly went from a ceremonial kind of, he did like pagan weddings and stuff. He went from a ceremonial vicar to a travel agent. And I was like, why does that feel weird, right? Anyway, so he went on this journey on this Japanese cruise ship and suddenly got struck with COVID-19. Now, when he first announced that he had it, which was about November time, I think it was January, or no, was it January? Can't remember now. It was like, I was watching him doing a live and I was like, something's not right here, because I know I've spoken to him before all this happened. I'd spoken to him before, and this doesn't feel right. But yeah, he's a trained actor, and it got to the point where one of the lives where he was stuck in his cabin and he was in quarantine and all this other stuff. It was like, I mean, it was literally like watching an episode of, and if you don't know what this is a show in England called Emmerdale, EastEnders. It's like watching an episode of EastEnders, and I was like, is this a soap opera? Like, what is this? Very, I mean, I know I'm extra, but this was so extra and over the top, and it was like, I want my rights and all this other stuff, and I want whiskey, and like, it was just weird, right? Anyway, so then suddenly, obviously, this was announced, and he was suddenly doing all these TV interviews, and was asking to go on to This Morning, which, again, if you don't know, if you're not in the UK, it's a well-known, popular kind of morning show that there's, people present and people go on an interview. And I remember watching all this thinking, what on earth is going, this is like a reality TV show gone wrong on crack, you know? And I remember thinking, nah, like I don't want any part of this. And suddenly all this COVID-19 stuff blew up. And I remember then this guy was doing YouTube videos about him, David Abel, saying how he's like an actor, he's a trained actor. And every interview he was doing, he was like, no, David Abel's a trained actor, don't fall for it. There's always like some conspiracy guy that was like exposing him. And that's what we need, you know, because this is the thing, like this guy got so much abuse for doing it, like exposing this guy, but he was right. I mean, there was something off when I watched it, even before this conspiracy people picked up on it. And I know that I know him. Like, personally, if I had to read between the lines, he was like, he's probably been paid to do that job, to pose as someone who got struck by the illness. Because this is the other thing, since that's happened, I've seen 1,000,001 different photographs of people with COVID that have been announced as unfortunately passing away. And then there's family members going, you know, writing afterwards going, but they didn't pass from that. They passed from respiratory disease or taken down again, ? What do you mean? Yeah, so just be very careful, because all it takes is for a few key people to start selling an idea, and then all these other TV programs buying into that, because again, Rupert Murdoch owns a lot of these broadcasting companies and newspapers in the UK, and he's definitely got an agenda. He is definitely linked to these people. Has your internet all gone down? Do you know what? I just had an alert come up for malware on my computer as well. Hi! Did anyone else's internet go down? Good. Good. Read my lips. I'm not for sale. So it briefly went down. What was I talking about when this went down? Let me think. Yeah, just the David Abel stuff. Just anyone that you're seeing parading around that's like that, just take it with a pinch of salt. Just be very careful with the news that you're watching, unless you're going onto like DuckDuckGo and researching there, or you're researching via an independent newspaper. Just be very careful what you're reading, like publication wise. The actor being exposed, yeah. Oh, David Abel, yeah. I ended up deleting him as a friend on Facebook because that was just shady. Oh, also, just FYI, he was also exposed as being a Freemason. He was also exposed as being a Freemason. He was an actor and Freemason. Now, again, if you type in his name, you will be able to find that information everywhere, because it was like there was, as I say, people were just exposing it. Just be very careful when anything comes up over the next coming months. Yeah, just be careful over the next coming months. If you start getting like very well-known people that are sort of trying to sell you an agenda or like a new idea, just be careful with it, because as long as you're keeping up with your spiritual development, if that's what you want to do, maybe you don't want to develop spiritually. It's your choice at the end of the day. This is we're in free will, you know. But just make sure that you're listening to your gut instinct, because there's going to be a heck of a lot of distraction coming up. And that's why they wanted me to talk about this, because it's not going to be until the summer months that the Middle East thing will come up. And I know that because I've already had a conversation. My dad actually lives in the Middle East, and I've already had a conversation with him about that. So there you go. But this is Spirit's way of saying, please, you know, don't buy into that. There is something is going to evolve from this that is of benefit. This is a freedom. The bird is free. Now, this looks like a bit like a canary. The canaries, when, you know, in the mining days, used to come and act as a warning alert, didn't they? If gas was released, the canaries would be the messenger, the warning alert people, as to sort of say, look, you know, there's a threat. but it brought incredible luck because it saved a lot of people's lives. And this is my parting gift to you guys. Truth. Bottom of the deck. Pleasure. Okay. So this was your live reading for Friday. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you for all your likes, shares, and subscriptions. It means a lot to me. Shout out Kate and Luke for moderation. And until next time.